Phoenix Down Radio is on the air.
Welcome, everybody, to Phoenix Down Radio, episode number 146. I am your host, Klauss Nightbringer, and joining me, we have a Taliz and Seyrr. What's going on, guys?
Dude, the electric guitars look so cool.
Really do.
The electric guitar emotes just look so cool.
The best part
Oh
of
my gosh.
patch 5.55 right there, the addition of the electric guitar in performance.
I think you're right. Those are so good.
You know, when it came out, and I one of the first things I did when I logged in is I had to try it out, and it's like, I had to post my screenshot on the Twitter, and it's like,
It's so ridiculous. I love it.
and it's like, new intro? Question mark? I didn't know if I'd get it done, but hey, we've got a new intro, guys. That's why you need to join us live at twitch.tv/Phoenix Down Radio every other Saturday night at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 p.m., where we have a lot of fun. And you can jump in and harass us just as much as a Rory Fenrir or Pyrocats or Lord of Ario. Thank you so much for joining us live. We appreciate it. So yeah, what have you guys been up to since the last episode?
I did some more submersible stuff.
Cool. Submersible.
What were you able to get?
Anything cool?
Mostly a bunch of lumber. Although I did get a Sildrian class insubmersible. It's the little minion.
Okay.
They have like a second one now.
Very nice.
Were you able to unlock all the other zones?
They're all unlocked. The submersibles are not high enough level to go to all of them yet.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
Progress can be made, and now we don't have to AFK in your house for like an hour while you craft everything.
I do appreciate that.
I remember doing that for you. You were like, hey, are you gonna keep playing? And I'm like, no. And you were like, awesome. Can I get you to party me real quick? And I just like turned off my TV and just did other stuff for like an hour.
And I was like, okay, time to run over to the Anmol Shah. Oh my gosh,
Yep.
I got so much out of them.
That was a wonderful quality of life increase that we don't have to just have like 3 of your friends AFK in your house for 9 hours.
Yeah, being like, okay, get everything together. Now watch. Okay, there's enough people on. Message. Okay, got 3. Do this quickly because I don't know how long they'll be available.
It was like a Rory, Dexy, myself, and Bannon at one point. Bannon's like, hi, I can get us an unlimited supply of like grade 3 materia. And I'm like, yo, get in here. Let's do it. Like, let's get a whole bunch of garbage. Let's have some good times. And then we shuffled all of it into like piety materia or something. It was like crazy high value at the time. We had this whole money laundering operation with the submersibles. It was awesome.
I don't think that's what money laundering means.
We put it in the washing machine with a brick. It's fine.
That's definitely not what... You know what? It's fine.
It's fine. Roll with it.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to, Taliz? I know you haven't been in game, but I'm sure you've been rather busy.
Committing gill fraud, obviously.
All right, Yoshi.
So as far as not playing 14, I kind of got patched out for like exactly what I needed to have ready for Endwalker, and I'm just kind of taking a solid break just because I'm burned out, and I don't want to be burned out. So I recognize that taking this break is going to be good for me. So I have found a couple of really horrible rabbit holes, one of which being a Raspberry Pi, which I thought was going to be a dumb card for emulation that was going to sit on my desk. And now I have a case with a fan, and I've bought parts for it, and it's doing way more work than, honestly, any other thing that I own right now. Still working on cars. That car I bought from my mom, she was able to get her car fixed, so that car's now back in my driveway. So if anybody wants a 1993 Ford Festiva, I have one.
Huh.
I wish there was follow-up to that. That's literally all I've got. I just have an extra car now.
Hit up Marvelous Tofu on Insta.
Right? Yeah, check out Marvelous Tofu on Instagram. You'll see stories of me driving my little green, designed by Mazda, built by Kia, badged by Ford Nugget. It's a party. A couple weeks ago, I went to Portland with Pyrocats and we bought an unhealthy amount of books. That being said, we still want to go back and buy more, but I've been reading a ton of manga. So it's been really nice to kind of get back into my like pre-college weeb levels of just reading manga for stuff that I don't want to wait for shows to exist.
There's a pleasant nostalgia to it. Plus, Pals.
I've also
Pals is
accidentally...
awesome.
Pals is fun. I also accidentally bought a couple of light novels because the books were sealed and I didn't know inside. So now I'm reading light novels, which I haven't done in a very long time. Om nom nom pizza. I have no idea what you're eating, by the way.
Burger.
Opposite of pizza. Good.
Well, it's still tasty.
Klauss, what have you been up to, my dude?
Well, just before the show, I was running Palace of the Dead. I'm trying to get those damn time-worn artifacts.
Okay.
Got a group.
I suspect the Lubrum Regine is faster, especially now that people are starting to have those merit point equivalents.
I got 5 of them in 2 hours.
Huh. Did they up the drop rate?
Well, it increases the further down you go.
Right.
Starting at about 20% on level 50, up to 100% drop rate on level 150.
Right.
We went from floor 50.
I suppose if you got a reliable group to run with, then.
Yep. We found some people in one of my link shells that were looking. Shout out to Sir Fireheart and Lady Fireheart here on Hyperion. And Arc Asm on Leviathan, we ran as a static group so we could get beyond level 100. We actually made it to 160.
Oh, nice.
We almost wiped at 139.
I never.
Oh, that would have been so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was in the room with the portal to go to the boss floor.
Oh, that would have been even worse.
Yeah. Okay, so the tank died, and then the healer raised the tank, but then everybody else died. So the tank was trying to fight things and stay alive. I was like, use one of the raising palms. Use one of the raising palms, just in case they die.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now you need to go find the cairn of raising, please, so we can do this. And well, he went all manticore and raged from where we were at to find the other room, and we all raised.
Which is just such a satisfying pomander.
Yeah, it's fun. But we ended up...
oh my god, that's so hard.
So we ended up, like I said, we went from 50 to 160. I ended up with 12 iron-trimmed sacks, 5 silver-trimmed sacks, and 4 gold-trimmed sacks.
Anything good in them?
Just some
lot,
weapons and armor. No Nightmare Pegasus, though.
Damn.
But like I said, now I'm at 10 of 15 now for my time-worn artifacts, and we're actually going to continue running this tomorrow night and when I'm done with work. So
nice.
We're going to try. Maybe we can make it to 200. I mean, that's if we can make it further. That's 4 more guaranteed time-worns, and then run Delibrum, and I've got my weapon ready to go for the next stage.
Also, if you do manage that, there's an Orchestrion role I have wanted to get for ages. It's traded for with the Galmoran Potsherds. And yeah, and you have to have cleared. I either 150 or 200.
We'll have to take a look.
I've just never known anyone who had it cleared.
Well, like I said, we got to 160, so now maybe I can get it. I will say though, the change in environment, and like I said, I know this is old content, guys, but the change in the environment from when you go to 150 to 151, it's freaking cool. It's so different. It's really cool, but it's kind of nice.
The real depths of the deep dungeons have always had some weird stuff going on. It's just something that a lot of people never get to see.
Yep. Well, a lot of people do. It's just some people don't have the time or to get a group together and run it as a static. So, but it's kind of fun. I enjoyed it.
And you do need a static.
Yes, to get beyond 100, you have to have a static. And if you die, you start over.
Yep.
But it
It's
is
tough.
what it is.
It's for everybody that hasn't done Palace of the Dead. It is a thing that you should experience. Getting to 50 is not particularly difficult, even with just a pickup group. It is a fun experience. If you enjoy that experience, there's hard mode, there's harder mode, and there was, oh god, why do I do this to myself mode. The last two get you some really, really cool stuff, though. So if you have time, run it. It's a lot of fun.
Rory in the chat asking, oh, the level 80 Bard quest, do I really need to play an instrument? I don't think so. I was the one quest at the end of the Firmament quest line. I was like, oh, do we have to actually perform with that piano? That'd be freaking sweet. But no, it was just the old style like we had with the Christmas event. So
yeah, the button revolution.
Yep. Well, it's cool. We can go back and play at any time.
Which Moose was certain for the longest time there was going to be something like that in the near raid. Like that there was going to be some kind of rhythm game and that was the testing ground for it. Because that would have been so on brand.
It would have been fun.
It really would have.
And we can talk a little bit about how they actually ended it in patch 5.55 moving later on. But let's go ahead and jump into some game and community news. And this one shocked me. Apparently, it was leaked that Square Enix is set to announce an action RPG Final Fantasy spin-off. Now, this comes courtesy of Fanbyte. Copy and paste.
It's at least considered a credible enough rumor that I've been hearing it in several other places.
So a new rumor states that Square Enix is working with Team Ninja, who is Koei Tecmo's in-house development team behind games like Ninja Gaiden, Neo, and Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, and Dissidia NT. The rumors say that we are going to be getting a Souls-like Final Fantasy game based in the world of the original Final Fantasy. And
as a person that loved the Dissidia lore, that sounds so freaking cool, because there's a lot of really dark stuff in FF1 that they touch on in the Dawn of Souls remake and the complete collection on PSP. And
yeah, they like
a lot that they touched
out
on with Garland in Dissidia and Duodecim.
So
they expanded out like this entire thing for it. It was really impressive.
And the sources also say that the title of said game is going to be Final Fantasy Origin. Not Origins, which was the Final Fantasy 1 and 2 joint disc from for the PlayStation. But it's going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive with a PC release further down the road. There's something like they're going to be talking about it at the upcoming E3 in 2 weeks. So look forward to that.
We'll know the truth of this. Yeah, we'll know the truth of this one soon, or like reasonably soon.
Yep. I'm stoked.
I'm down though.
I'm super stoked.
I'm so down because But did you guys play Final Fantasy has always had we have our core. My line of guys, your line of guys, battle. We know how a game works. Having things like 11 to 14 was kind of a weird spin. Tactics took kind of a weird spin, so it has its own branch now. 3 and 5 had the jobs. That ended up getting absorbed into Tactics. Whenever there's a spin-off game, sometimes they work super, super well, and we get things like Ivalice. Sometimes we get things like 13-2 and Lightning Returns. And sometimes we get the really weird stuff. There was that Monster Hunter reskin that was Final Fantasy a couple years ago. That it was so fun for an hour and a half, and it was just unplayable. And I tried it with multiple people. We tried doing it single player with monsters that take up your other party slots. And you reach a point where you set yourself to auto heal. You get a level 3 monster to fill in all 3 spots for your 4-person party, and you can literally set your DS down. You can set it up to not play and be more successful. And I was a Dark Knight that self-healed. I don't know what to tell you. The game was fun, but it didn't work. My fear is that we're going to end up going, hey, here's a good idea. Let's try it. And then we get a Souls-like FF game, and we go, hey, so this is some Dissidia NT Final Fantasy Explorers thing that didn't work. But we're all coming into it hoping that it's like Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon. We're hoping that it's like Chocobo Racing. We're hoping that it's like Brave Exvius. Grain of salt, I honestly think it's going to be more of the good result than the not so great result, just because of the history of the franchise that we're going, the genre that we are going into with it. But
And
I'm
also
really
Team Ninja's
excited to
pretty
see
damn
something
good.
new
Yeah.
and different.
Team Ninja has been doing some amazing work with the games that they've been putting out. So yeah,
They pretty much don't miss. Like across their release list, they pretty much don't miss. So I'm okay with it.
now
Yeah.
I'm not much of a Souls-like player. I've never played Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Neo, any games like that. But you brand it Final Fantasy. You give me some lore about from the original Final Fantasy game, and I am in 100%.
That's kind of where I'm at too. Like I'm going into it like, is this my style? No. Am I going to play it because you have branded it with a thing that is my style? Absolutely I am. So they know their audience. I have
Yeah.
Itadaki Street installed right now. Like, why? Because Final Fantasy's in it.
Yeah, I will absolutely admit if something has a Final Fantasy name on it, I will at least try it out.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're doing a battle royale with that the First Soldier mobile game.
Yeah,
So,
it's like, I don't even like some of these genres, but I'll try it out. And then I find it's like, you know what? I like this genre more than I thought.
now we just need a Final Fantasy themed Fall Guys, and then we're set. And I've broken.
Can I
Taliz.
have like an SD Cecil that falls off of water park attractions? Because I
Yes.
want that
would be.
now.
Would that not be amazing?
I don't know if that's
Play the
stupid
hell
or
out of that.
brilliant or both.
Why not both?
Yeah, I think
What
both.
both?
All right. So
Minwoo is the judge of everything. Minwoo
Okay,
can just
I
be
know
the
him.
judge.
Minwoo needs more love.
if you guys,
Minwoo does not get enough love. White mage, male, not sensitive type. Like, goes
Dead.
around shirtless.
I would love to hear
Also
what
dead.
some of our
And
listeners
person of color.
have for ideas. For something that they would like to see a Final Fantasy game in a different genre. You should send your ideas to us, podcast@phoenixstarradio.com. You can tweet at us at PHXDNRadio on Twitter. Yeah, I mean, I just want to hear what some of your guys' thoughts would be on something like that. It'd be really fun. So yeah, let's go ahead and we'll find out more about that in about a week and a half, 2 weeks when E3 is going on. So hopefully during that episode, we'll have some more to report on. There's supposed to be a lot of Final Fantasy talk from Square Enix during that show. So let's talk a little bit about that Final Fantasy XIV news. We did get a patch this week. Patch 5.55 is now live. Let's go ahead and link up the patch notes so everybody can go through that. It's a standard.
This is like the pseudo final patch.
Yeah.
Well, story-wise,
they-
this is the final patch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
They had a credit roll and everything.
oh yeah. And I would have watched the entire damn thing too if I didn't have to get somewhere. But
I did watch the entire damn thing.
ooh, I'm Seyrr.
I
I
also
sit down and watch the whole damn thing.
I also tend to stay in the movie theater until the lights come up.
I do if it's a Marvel movie. Because there's reasons
I
for
just
that.
I just do for everything. They work so hard. They need some recognition.
Do you also stand up and clap at the end of every movie?
Only like the really good ones.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But
It's about social norms.
that's not
Anyway.
the norm, though. But you want to make it the norm, I understand.
Anyway,
So we got the second part of the Death Unto Dawn storyline, and the completion of these Shadowbringers story, at least at this point. It's not the completion of this storyline. That comes in 6.0.
yeah. But there was a prophetic statement. There was a big closing shot. There was the credit roll, and then a little bit more because we need to actually finish the quest.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the battle, Seyrr?
Oh my god, that set piece was amazing. I was not expecting it to run as long as it did until partway in when I realized, oh, this is what we're doing. We're gonna get this from all the different angles.
Yeah, it's basically like playing 4D chess and playing as a bunch of other characters. I know that's a Rory's favorite thing to do.
Yeah, several role-playing segments. I think at this point, we've role-played as every member of the Scions who was a member when they started actually having role-playing segments.
Okay. Yeah, you might be right on that, because let's see, we've in this one we had we were Alice, and then we were Graha for a while.
And then
Urianger. Prior we've been Thancred, Ishtola, and they didn't do any of this while Papalima was around, did they?
Nope. The first one was Alphino after he took off into the Garlean territory.
Okay. Yep. So yeah,
if anyone's curious why I'm not chiming in, I haven't played any of this yet, so I have no idea what they're talking about.
There are some battle set pieces. It is a large scale battle that involves dividing up into several groups. There was one point where it like cut back to the Warrior of Light's group, and I was like, "Am I going to be role playing as me?" Because I was like, I would absolutely believe that they'd have me be one of the other people, and then the Warrior of Light just does Warrior of Light things.
But no, we play as ourselves.
Oh God, just like, I'm gonna grab this ethereal axe out of the sky. You, like everybody else in the Scions that's just trying to keep up with whatever the hell we do.
I mean, I still giggle at that one where I think we were playing Hien in it, where there was the Warrior of Light's timely arrival gauge. Good times.
Yeah, we are definitely Jesus Coon and friends. Hey, what's up, Master Shake?
But like, I would absolutely believe that they'd be like, okay, but no, I think that would also take it away a bit from being us and our experience. So thinking about it, they probably wouldn't, but I would not have put it past them to try it.
And it built up the storyline, so now we do it's like, okay, we really need to figure out what's going on here, and they really played up the moon at the end. I like how it went from a nice bright white moon to a very ominous orange, yellow, reddish moon at the end.
Yeah, like there's some stuff that once we start talking spoilers a little bit later on, I will definitely be kind of curious about what they're going on about.
Yeah. Those of you who know what we're talking about, you know what we're talking about. Otherwise, we'll probably discuss this on the next episode.
Oh yeah, like it's known that stuff will involve the moon. They've been hinting at it, and so they kind of just like drop some stuff in there, nudging that this is going. But again, like it's going to be a while before we get any specifics.
Yeah, at least till November.
I mean, I'd be surprised if we don't get some amount of like trailer or other hinting stuff beforehand.
I mean, they've shown us the moon already as far as what's some of the set pieces there, but what we're gonna be doing there, we don't know.
Breathing in space.
All right. They also completed.
We're RPG heroes.
It's plot armor. Come on.
We're JRPG heroes. Of course, we can breathe in space. Yeah, exactly.
All right. We also got the completion of the Yorha Dark Apocalypse story. That was weird. Did you finish that one, Seyrr?
I haven't yet. I'm a couple weeks behind.
Okay. Yeah, it closes. You have to get through a number of the little weekly quests with the guys at
Comra,
isn't it?
Yeah, it's Comra. Because Tomra is the one on the west side. Comra is the one on the east. Each of them knows that the other ones are like beardless sons of gods or something.
But so they get through that, and it ends very oddly, but
which I feel is much more in the whole spirit of a Yoko Taro game.
Yeah, it's very
like, yes, you had all your fun combat, and now for some ruminations on the nature of life or bonds or something like that.
Yeah, actually, there's a bit of that in there. So
Yeah, like this feels more like it, just from what little I know and from what's been described, that feels more like an appropriate ending for a Yoko Taro piece than anything else.
Which is why it makes no sense to me.
Challenge those perceptions.
Is it confusing?
Yes.
Is it over?
Yes.
Yoko Taro.
All right. And then we got some additional Blades of Gunhilder content. We get our new zone, Zadnor, which you must be rank 15 to be able to access. It also adds in a new step to the resistance weapons. So we should be able to complete those now. And they're going to be slightly better than the savage weapons you would get out of the savage raid.
Extremely cool looking. A friend showed me her finished one.
I'm still working on mine. We'll get there. We'll get there.
I also appreciate that the glamour version, the glamour dresser versions you can buy, there is both a version with the glow and version without the glow. Because it is a very over-the-top glow. And it's like, you know what, this is also a cool model and you might just want it on its own.
That's fair. It's nice that they've gone back and allowed us to buy the glamour versions of each of the steps of our relics.
Yeah.
Remember when we had to rebuild a weapon? And
That
go
was
through
dumb.
all the
That
steps?
has never made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like,
don't think
I
it was-
just want to glamour it.
When was it that they added Drake making those replicas?
Oh.
I think that might have been around like the Zeta step. Like they started adding
I
that.
thought it actually didn't start until Heaven's Word. I could be
I mean,
wrong,
those
but
those were reasonably close in terms of the patch cycle. I just know that for the original Zodiac Zeta weapons, the replicas were not available until you had finished the entire chain for a weapon.
okay. Yeah, I don't remember.
And then
honestly.
it was Heaven's Word where it started being okay, you can get stuff like the previous step made into a thing.
Yeah,
And I think now you can get the current step made into a thing because of the recognition that you'll want to put it in a glamour dresser, or maybe it is still. I'm not sure.
yeah, I think you're right. I think it actually was once the Zodiac Brave weapons were released, is when they released the initial relic weapons as purchasable. So if we're wrong, let us know. Go and correct us. Podcast@phoenixradio.com. You know, if we get something wrong, let us know. But yeah, I
Put us in the comments to correct everything we say.
or the comments, yeah.
Yeah, no, like the glows on some of those earlier Zodiac Zetas are actually like, no, this is like not over the top and kind of cool. And for the Paladin one, I always liked the look of the Holy Shield. Just like that basic kind of kite shield shape has always been one I really liked.
It was nice. I think of all the different weapons that I've been able to finish as far as relic for Bard, the Yoichi bow was always one of my favorites.
Same.
That was cool
Just
art.
a classic bow, but it looked nice.
I've always felt weird about having a freaking harp on my bow.
Yeah, I didn't like those beginning ones for Heaven's Word, but
The more recent ones have been a little better.
yeah, I did like the Eurekan weapons. Those were nice too, but I think it's the Yoichi bow is still my favorite. But all right, moving on. They also I was gonna ask, did you guys actually get a chance? Have you jumped into Zadnor? Are you guys rank 15 yet?
I am rank 15. I was capped on metal just before the patch released. I've been wanting to, but I just keep being like, I need sufficient time and energy to devote to it. Maybe
Fair.
tomorrow.
I will say, at least from what I've seen so far, is the leveling up is pretty fast on the first few levels. I'm already 17.
Yeah.
And I was only in there for
seeing
like
some
an
folks-
hour and a half.
I was seeing some folks reporting like very high metal gains.
At least 100-some thousand per CE. So
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
And the Castrum Lacus Litor equivalent, the Dalriata, apparently also has very good gains.
And
I at
they
least
all
haven't
have
heard
good
as many
gains.
I haven't heard as many people complaining about it as complained about Castrum Lacus Litor. I don't know if that's because it's easier, if because people have a little more an idea of what to expect, or what the deal is.
Yeah, I will say I ran Delibrum Regine earlier today as well, and I got like 500,000. So yeah.
Yeah, that also gives it also gives stuff based on your level, I want to say.
Which is nice because I ran it as a level 17, and it was very nice. So if you want to get that those quick rank ups, I mean, just keep running the content. They are making it easier to continue on.
And then you can do your merit points.
Oh yeah, that's right. That is a thing at 25, isn't it?
Yep.
So let's go for those bird farms. Just don't eat food because they're gonna steal it. They added.
Hey! Should I start ranting about decorative weapons? Do we want to go that far back?
They added new chapters to New Game Plus.
You know.
That's what I think about that.
Oh gosh.
So a lot of it's actually current. So as you're finishing up content, they add a new chapter to New Game Plus for you. So if you want to re-go through some of the storyline, like they've added the entire Yorha to the New Game Plus now.
Yeah.
Well, especially like, let's say you have to go to work, you need to finish a cutscene, you got to put your kids to bed or whatever. You can now go back and play through it again, which is so much different than watching a replay of it.
Yep. Or having to go on to
get to replay
YouTube.
it again. So the fact that we are, yeah, but now we're only a step behind. So like we get to redo it like the next day, as opposed to, well, sometime in 2023, I'll know what happened in that cutscene. Hope it wasn't important. Which there's a lot of stuff in Heavensworth that I straight up did not remember. So going through that in New Game Plus was a unique experience because I basically got to see the story again. Yeah, but for the first time, but also not having the risk of, I'm level 58, I hope I don't die. Be fine.
Even if it's something you have done, just like being able to refresh the memories on it. Like, I know there's stuff where I can get access to text dumps of what's in there, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun and a lot more immersive if you're actually experiencing it again.
Good stuff.
I got to fight the Warriors of Darkness again. Do you have any idea how cool that is to do during Shadowbringers?
Yeah, knowing what you know now.
It's so insane what you know now and going to see that preliminary, which honestly, was Shadowbringers written back then? No, of course not. Did they have ideas?
They didn't even know they were going to be doing
that. To the wall? Probably. Right. We had no clue.
Yeah, at the time they did not actually know.
So, but now we get to go back, we get to see stuff, and you go, oh, you wrote this first. And then 2.5 years later, you went, crap. That one throwaway line of dialogue is now incredibly important. Let's see if we can turn that into an entire patch. And then they did, like, twice. It's been super, super cool. Like, yeah, New Game Plus, definitely good addition to the game. And getting to play it through as a different class, because playing everything as a tank, you're just like, and then I show up with an axe like Ardbert and kill everything, and I'm probably not going to die because I have defensive cooldowns. Or you go in as a bard, and you'd be like, I have a bow. I probably shouldn't get hit here.
I have a book. Please don't look at me.
Doing all those engagements differently, and you think differently.
Or you could be, I'm a dragoon. I'm going to tank the floor.
Excuse me while I tank the sky. Floor.
One of my FFRPG players is a dragoon and doesn't know what a dragoon is. She wanted to be a hit with heavy thing, giant ass fighter, and her first skill that she picked was jump.
Well,
and I let her do it because it's really, really funny.
I feel like there's nothing I can add to that.
It's so good. She, do you remember Kyros from Final Fantasy VIII?
Yeah.
The dream sequence guy with the 2 kunai. Those are her weapons. So she is a dragoon with dagger hands.
So she's Kyros and Ward mashed into a single entity.
Yes.
Nice.
But she doesn't have to pick up a giant anchor.
No, she's just a princess. It's been a unique experience to see non-Final Fantasy players experience Final Fantasy for the first time.
There's been a request in the chat for you to tell us about some of the other players in your group. Should we make that after
well, there's
show
this one
content?
Really obnoxious archer. Super obnoxious archer that wants to be an alchemist and keeps trying to poison everybody.
Are you subtweeting? I feel like you're subtweeting.
Pyrocats is one of my players, in case no one has figured that out by now.
No way. We should tell us more about it in the post show. That'd be actually really interesting talk.
Oh yeah, I'll roast her in the post show for sure.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Continuing on, the most important addition in patch 5.55, which we alluded to earlier, the electric guitar.
We have abandoned all pretensions of a quasi pre-industrial setting.
It's an ethereal electrical guitar.
How is that any better?
Seyrr.
It's Magitech.
Seyrr,
It's magic.
do you remember when none of our clothes were the same color and we had an axe and we had to wear 5 pieces of gear that was level 5 or higher?
In order to continue
13
on.
levels later, we killed Ifrit because we were bored. Just to give you an idea of scale, nothing matters. We can do whatever we want.
I came in as Legacy, so I had well-matched gear for that entire thing, thank you.
Well, man, gear, thank you.
I knew what was important, even back then.
Really disrespectful, like more than I meant it to. I'm sorry, dude.
No, it was fine. But, like, I knew what was important, even back then.
Well, that's why I rocked my foe strikers for as long as humanly possible before glamours were a thing.
Friend of the podcast, Mama Dragon 89, got her hair done recently, and she doesn't play 14 anymore, but she got blue and purple highlights and had her hair darkened. So I put in the threw a Discord link up in the chat, but I put in the pictures channel a picture of her hair and a picture of the guitar, and her hair just looks like the body of the guitar. It's pretty great.
Very nice.
Yes, we have an electric guitar now because of all the things that we needed in this game.
Well, because not everybody
We've
can
got
afford a
flying
$3,500 guitar, so.
And I mean, they added it as a housing item too, and it's just 3,000 MGP.
Oh, it's
like,
in the gold
surprisingly
saucer.
accessible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know what I'm doing after the show.
A lot of people worry it's like, oh, this is going to be something really hard to craft. And it's like, no, fairly accessible.
It makes you mad. I was actually just at the gold saucer.
Oh,
we're
no.
going, going back.
Are we going to, when we're back in game, in like 2 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever, are we going to be surrounded by guitars?
Yes.
I'd like to be.
Yes.
The set you were talking about not having anything to spend MGP on.
The set is going to be entirely guitars.
Gonna make just one of the upstairs rooms in the house, just guitars.
Gonna make a throne of guitars.
Yeah, throne of iron, only with like guitar necks.
Guitars, yes, exactly.
So if you're good at placing housing items, email us at podcast@Phoenix Down Radio because we need to make a throne of guitars.
Oh God!
I am buying 5 guitars. I just bought 5 guitars.
We're gonna need more guitars.
And
well, yes.
we're off.
I mean, it's
right.
a start. It's a start. I gotta have some guitars for my other house too. So, anyway, now that I was gonna ask you guys where that was at. Now that you told me, thank you. I appreciate that. Go to the gold saucer and you can spend 5,000 MGP, and you too can have a guitar on your wall.
Was
or
it
10.
Okay.
5,000. Yes.
I thought 3,000, but
3,000. Yes, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. It was 3,000. I had the number 5 in my head.
Probably because you bought 5 of them.
Because I bought 5 of them, yes. Yes, it is, going back to it, where are you again? 3,000, correct. Spent 15,000 of my 9.6 million MGP.
Is this where I go, yeah, because I don't actually want to.
No, you don't have to.
Yay.
All right, so now I know where that's at. And then, of course, as any 0.55 patch has, there are a ton of quality of life additions. So go through the notes, read through them. A lot of new housing items. There's a lot of new stuff for that you can craft, that you can buy, that you can find. That
all the
mount,
usual fun stuff.
That mount for the having all the all the triple triad cards is actually kind of cute.
It's like someone showed me, like they had a picture of like a piece of toast with jam on it, plus a picture of a Lalafell, and then that screenshot. It's like I can't unsee it. I was mostly seeing it even before. It looks like a giant piece of toast with jam on. Which I mean is still great.
It does.
Yeah, it's meant to be a triple triad card. And I can't believe somebody on Hyperion actually has one.
I'm only like 20 cards away.
I'm
Most of which I just need to do EXs for. I am very thankful that they do not require the
unsynced.
Well, I do need to get a bunch of blue mage spells, so possibly.
Like, I am very grateful that they did not require the tournament only cards. I was worried about that.
Yeah,
but I guess that would
be
have
tough to include platinum pack cards.
I guess that would have incentivized people doing bad things at the tournaments even more. So very glad they did it.
Yeah. All right, so that's the basics of patch 5.55. We're going to be getting a few more quality of life things added in the couple of additional patches moving forward, but the storylines are done, so enjoy those. With patch 5.55, they also brought the PlayStation 5 client out of beta and is now the full client, and of course it has some major bugs already. If you guys have signed into the game, you've seen the message directly from Final Fantasy XIV. We have discovered an issue affecting the PlayStation 5 version, whereby logging out while in certain areas and attempting to log in with the same character will result in the player being stuck on the loading screen, preventing access to the game. Known areas to be affected: Ralger's Reach, Puppet's Bunker, Fractal Continuum Hard, and St. Mocian's Arboretum Hard. We're currently doing our utmost to resolve the issue, but for the time being, we ask that you refrain from logging out while in the affected areas, and then see the news section for more details. Yoshida even commented on it, saying, you know, that they want to try and get it taken care of, but they're, you know, and take their time to make sure that they don't end up, you know, adversely affecting something else. We'll probably get a patch for it next week to try and take care of it. They're not going to release a midweek patch or weekend patch for that. So just make sure you don't log out in the Reach.
Who the hell is logging out in the Puppet's Bunker?
Or
if you get disconnected.
Yeah, I suppose. Maybe that's what ended up happening, and that's how they got there. Because, yeah, who's going to log out in St. Mocian's Arboretum?
Yeah, the other one would be for the Puppet's Bunker. There are some of the quests that send you there in like kind of the non-combat version of it.
Yeah, if you go in for those Comra. But I mean, again, why would you be logging out there unless you're disconnecting? I'm trying to remember. Do those have a time limit on those, Seyrr? Do you recall?
In those versions, there is not a time limit. It's just another field area.
That can be tricky.
I have actually occasion, not in that specific one, but in similar ones, been like, okay, this is something I want to get to starting tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and go there and just be there ready to go.
Okay. But I know they did mention that if you are in the actual dungeons, you can, a lot of times you can try logging back in once the timer has timed out for the instance, and that should kick you back to where you were in the overworld. But yeah,
it's a method.
It certainly is a thing. They've also said that if you completely shut down your PlayStation and then turn it on and sign back in, that may also help. So just turn it off and turn it back on.
But again. For now,
better not risk it if you can help it.
Exactly. These next bits of news were put in by Taliz, so I'm going to let him talk about them. He knows a little bit more about the content, but I have to say that the reaction of the Final Fantasy XIV player base was heartwarming.
Yes. So a bit of Final Fantasy adjacent news. Publisher Hakusensha announced on Thursday, so it was a couple weeks ago now, that the Berserk manga creator Kentarou Miura passed away on May 6th due to aortic dissection. He was 54 years old. His family held a private service. Meanwhile, on Balmung, citizens of Ul'dah stood in tribute wearing Dark Knight regalia. The line of players wrapped around all of Ul'dah, and conversation sparked many to begin reading the manga and leveling Dark Knight in honor of Guts, the protagonist of the manga. PC Gamer released an article with some quotes from Yoshida, including, quote, "We took inspiration from the way that Guts stands in those panels in Berserk, and that was the images I showed to my team to reference when we were thinking about Dark Knights. even when we were thinking about how to position composition in each of the cutscenes, there was a lot of times that we referenced Berserk. So for anyone who hasn't seen or read the original, are you going to get the link for me?
Already done.
Or do I need to grab it? Sweet,
already
thanks,
in.
man. There was, so the bit that I just read is a quote from the PC Gamer article. But for anybody who hasn't read or watched the original Berserk from the 90s, it's very classic fantasy. It's very old school, look very Lodos War-esque, except that it isn't wrapped in magic. It isn't wrapped in dragons and griffins. It is wrapped in horses and tactics and swords and armor. And it is very old school in how it is presented. The manga definitely does things differently than the series does, but when you're looking at developing something that is within the same genre, you want to start referencing pieces from that genre so that you understand what your player base is going to be looking for and what they're going to point at the screen and go, I remember seeing that. Oh my God, this is just like Guts. Dark Knights use a two-hand greatsword just like he does in the series. So if you have an opportunity to pick up manga from a library or Comixology, definitely do so. The older series is a little bit more watchable than the newer one. But if you can get your hands on the 3 films that came out about 10 years ago, excellent, excellent, excellent viewing. And for Dark Knight players, you're going to see a lot of really familiar scenes, watching or reading. So thank you to players on Balmung and elsewhere for honoring Miura with your glamours, with your time, and with your conversations. As we've said many times, Final Fantasy XIV players are kind of a weird mix of MMO players, where we do have the veteran crafters and the PvPers and the storyline people and the stat junkies, and we all play together and we all have a blast. So thank you for having hearts. Other manga news, Final Fantasy Lost Stranger Volume 6 is now available.
Hold on.
What's up?
I just wanted to actually comment on that. I did actually see that a lot of the servers were holding memorials in Ul'dah.
Yeah,
even
a lot of them were using like
crystal.
Using like the campfire minion to make like little memorial flames.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Hyperion had, the streets were full. And I saw images on the subreddit from all the other servers doing the exact same thing, just lining each side of the street, all the way around, and it was very touching. Like I said, I'm not familiar with the manga or the series, but I can definitely appreciate when somebody contributes something to just the genre in general, and other places pick it up. So I mean, it's touching to see people recognizing that.
It's hard to talk about magical girls without talking about Sailor Moon. It's very hard to talk about dark fantasy without talking about Berserk. It is kind of in that same tone in a different genre. It's not going to be like Sailor Moon or Gundam within their respective genres, but as far as dark fantasy is concerned, Berserk does things to its viewers that a lot of media doesn't. It takes you on a journey where you have to make decisions as a viewer of, what would I do in this situation? And then if the show does what you do, you go, okay, cool. But then you see the results and you go, was I wrong? Or if it does an opposite of the decision you would do, and you see the results, you go, but was I right? You have no idea. It's very, very good at developing that. Does not surprise me that Yoshi P is a big fan of the series. Speaking of Yoshi P, back to Final Fantasy Lost Stranger.
Nice segue.
The editorial supervisor... We made it back, y'all. The editorial supervisor for the series is actually Naoki Yoshida himself. Volumes 1 through 5 of Final Fantasy Lost Stranger are available on Comixology for like $5 or $6 each, or I think it's the membership actually has the first four available. They're also only like $12, so they're super, super cool. It uses all the classic Final Fantasy fonts. It is, unfortunately, because the nature of the industry, it is an isekai. I'm sorry. However, Jesus-kun and Friends is not the genre of this isekai. So if you like Final Fantasy and you like manga, Lost Stranger is a very, very good series to pick up. Volume 6 comes out on August 17th. And now for some sad news. The Butterfinger promotion is going through June 30th. Yeah, I know. It's
Super
not
Did they
sad.
at least increase the number?
it's going through June 30th, and
They did. So more people are
they
giving
don't
it.
accept digital receipts from Square card reader accounts of nonprofit organizations as proof of purchase.
How oddly
And if
specific.
you want to know why I know that,
Don't worry.
DM me. I am more than happy to explain it. So unfortunately, the most efficient method is going to be texting your friends somewhere in the continental US to buy you a bunch of Butterfingers at a gas station and send you a picture of the receipt. So make
oddly
sure that
specific.
you get your chocolate covered. Go ahead and get your chocolate covered Brussels sprout minion as you so desire, but just make sure to keep the Butterfingers away from Chili and I, because both of us enjoy breathing more than we enjoy candy bars. #no nuts. Love you, Chili. I hope you listened to this episode. I'm gonna know when you did, because you're gonna text me and be real mad. I can't wait.
Well, maybe somebody should try and get him a code so he can get himself a new mount. So yeah, that is our Final Fantasy gaming community news that we could think of. Now, this is where we kind of had an interesting discussion. It's like, well, what do we want to talk about tonight? I know patch 5.55 is going to be a little bit weak on content, so we can't really have a full discussion topic on that. Do we want to start the next series of music with Final Fantasy IX? I'm like, not really, because we don't want to rush through it.
Like, Nine's got some damn fine music, and I want to give it its due.
Exactly.
That what I was saying. Nine's got bangers. Like, I
Yep.
want to spend time on it.
So I was doing some thinking, and I was like, you know what? We never got to talk about Werlyt, and because we waited because Seyrr wasn't on that episode, and we wanted to make sure that he was around because, well, one, Seyrr knows more about the lore and remembers story better than anybody else here, and two, we know he's got opinions on it.
And 3, Seyrr has unrelatedly spent a good amount of time over the last couple weeks discussing a lot of the things within it, and stuff about telling the stories of the oppressed and the oppressors, and questions about what counts as a redemption arc and whether we're viewing all of this through a Christianity tinge. I've been talking a lot about this kind of thing.
So with
Have
that,
you ever thrown a match and landed it in the gas can on the first try? Good
I have
lord.
so many thoughts.
so it's
I had a reading list.
it's going to be like a discussion topic and a librarian's corner all in one. So, Seyrr, I hope you remember a bunch of what happened in this story. Sadly, I don't, but I'm sure I'll remember it as we're discussing it. So, can you please start with your thoughts on the Sorrow of Werlyt?
Oh. So, not even getting just into... So, I mean, like, the plot summary is... You can summarize it at a high level pretty easily. We've got the Shadowhunter Gaius Balsar now, because he has abandoned the van and the Garlean rank that symbolizes. Who has... we've become aware of a Garlean weapon project, like development type thing that involves these war orphans. We know that Gaius has this tendency to like take in war orphans. We saw this with Livia. We saw this with Fordola. We saw this with lots of others, where there's kind of actually with Ritaten as well, where there's kind of a willingness to recognize and nurture talent even in non-Garlean peoples. Which is something that sets him apart from a lot of the other attitudes. And so we have the children of this town of Werlyt, who had been taken in by him, who are now acting as the pilots for this project, which is essentially taking like your kind of standard giant mecha anime with all of its tropes about everyone being deeply, deeply broken and putting it into the world of Final Fantasy XIV. also some fairly disturbing designs. Well, let me find that one line.
So some fairly disturbing designs. Give me a moment. Let me find one.
No, we were discussing about it. It's like, why do these things have teeth? What is it with Garlemald and giving robots teeth? To protect the tongue. Cool. I have a second question.
Basically.
Yeah.
For anybody that hasn't played through these weapon quests, they're dark, dude.
Very.
They're very dark.
There's a non-trivial amount of body horror. One of the things that keeps happening is there's these oversoul systems, which are kind of like, okay, yes, technically we have a pilot, but we'd love it if this AI can kind of take over. This AI that's like implanted with all the battle techniques of these famous Garlean goddesses and other notable figures. And so, you know what? It'll be this thing where it kind of like floods it into their head and then they fuse with the core. So like the pilot kind of exists to act as a mediator for this AI system. Which is why we don't get to see the bodies of any of the pilots.
Yeah.
It is...
Yeah.
And so we have guys...
There's some Evangelion shit going on, by the way.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Plus, then we have the Legatus Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame. Kind of almost like caricature level of a lot of those Garlean attitudes about lesser races, about these various things they could do to them, forcing children to torture each other. It's like he is made to be absolutely as unlikable as possible. And I know one of the things that came up out of this is a lot of people feeling like, oh, hey, they're trying to redeem Gaius or make him into a good guy or things like that by putting him against this person who is just that much more irredeemable, which I don't think is necessarily a fair take on the subject, but I can see where people would come to that. I was just talking about this with Spender because we were talking about it's kind of, because for a lot of it we only get to talk with the pilots briefly, the kids, we only get to see these kids who are being abused, who are being tortured, who are being fridged, for those who know that term. It comes from a comic book thing where a superhero's girlfriend was murdered, cut up, and stuffed in the fridge. And so fridged is used to refer to, hey, we're going to brutally kill this other person as a way for this main character to have feelings and react to it and highlight them. Often treating the people around this person as disposable. Happens a lot to women, which is one of the reasons I care a lot. Oh, hey, we've got this character, we'll give him a girlfriend, we'll do something horrible to the girlfriend.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Fun fact, if you guys are feeling very uncomfortable with this conversation, skip ahead a little bit, or we'll see you on the next episode, because this is going to get a little bit weird.
You should be a little uncomfortable. We are getting deep into critical analysis here. There's some fascinating stuff here. But so there is some concern that the kids, while we are seeing, you do get flashbacks into their experiences, into their decisions to become Garlean soldiers, which honestly has some echoes of what Fordola was doing of hey, what we ultimately want is freedom for our land, and the only way to get that is to kind of prove ourselves and be this really good thing. And in their case, with also an amount of, once this project becomes a thing, we can use it to also gain freedom for our home. So there's a lot going on there, and some people found it kind of problematic that it seems like it focuses a bit on Gaius's reactions. So I was talking with Spender about this, and he had some really good words that I wanted to share. And one of the things that he found less compelling about that argument was that we have literally all of Stormblood, where we have been showed that most Garleans are assholes again and again from the perspective of the people they're oppressing. If this was real life, then yeah, it's reasonable to say we do want to tell the story of every single person being oppressed, because quite honestly, they deserve, if nothing else, they deserve to have their lives be witnessed. Just for the hey, you are a person, you are a human, you deserve to have your story told and be listened to. And if this was a thing where it was real people, then that would be a more compelling argument. But since this is a work of fiction, and Stormblood already spent a lot of time mining that territory, it's not necessarily unreasonable, and it might actually be the job of a fictional work to kind of start exploring that experience from other directions. Maybe look a little bit of like what that does look like from the perspective of the oppressor, or from a person who is like in the oppressor group, even if they personally aren't doing it as much. Even if they're one of the quote-unquote good guys. I don't think they're trying to portray Gaius as a good guy at this point. Because also redemption is kind of this really shallow view of what's going on with Gaius. It's kind of this really sort of Christian mentality of black and white, sinner or forgiveness situation. But like, this is someone who has fucked up hardcore, who has committed crimes that he's going to have to live with for the rest of his life. But as long as he's still here, he's going to attempt to do something useful and still submit to the judgment of others. He's traveling with those people who have made it clear that if he ever steps out of line, they will kill him. And he is willingly submitting to that. Like, he's not saying, it's not a, oh, I'm redeemed. It's a, oh, like, I will never, like, redemption is maybe not something that's possible, but I'm still here and I've got to do something. So given that, and given that things are kind of inherently unfair and I'm still alive, what do I do with my life?
At least he's attempting to try and do something good with it.
Yeah. And like, there's also this theme that's been throughout the entire Shadowbringers expansion, because we see it with Gaius, we saw it with Emmett Selk, we even saw it with Elidibus, which, even though you may need to defeat them to get to a just outcome, your enemies are still people. Some of them may be terrible people. Some may be doing terrible things to achieve what they think is a just outcome. And some of them may just be puppets. But they are all people, and you can oppose them utterly and still remember that.
Yeah, I mean,
we then went on to discuss how Fordola is one of our favorite Stormblood characters, so our judgments may be slightly skewed by that type of thing.
Fordola was my favorite part of Stormblood, so I'm down.
She has some surprising depth. The entire interplay between her and Yotsuyu and how they act as foils to each other, and some stuff with the Warrior of Light is just... mwah. Love it.
And I liked how they brought her back for 5.5.
That might be my favorite part of Shadowbringers, honestly.
Yeah, like...
Just, oh my god, yes, Fordola's doing shit again. Yes.
So, it doesn't spoil too much in the last set of 3 quests we got to know that we've had stuff happening with Ehrenwald being injured, with Fordola having been with him. She sneaks him out of the hospital against a medical advice in order to give Ehrenwald and Alphino a chance to have a little last chat. And it's like, that is such a her thing to do.
That is 100%.
Like, it's not even her. It's not even that she's a softie. It's just like a... There's something underneath there that she had to paper over, where she's been forced to make impossible choice over and over, where Xenos put one of those impossible choices on her, on whether to fire on her countrymen, mostly to see what she would do. Like, she was being toyed with, but there were no good options for her in that. And seeing how someone copes with that and what they do, and God, she's such a complex and fascinating character. But so yeah, looking at Gaius for a lot of the same thing there. Oh, yes. Several people in chat reminding me that I should hydrate because I have so many thoughts.
Yes.
Now, in between all of that, we also just have a bunch of really cool mecha fights. Because I think we did get all 4 of the original Final Fantasy VII weapons out of it, didn't we?
Yes.
Emerald, Ruby, Diamond.
Sapphire was the solo duty.
Okay, I think Sapphire was my favorite one just because I got to basically play Xenogears for a couple of minutes, and that was pretty cool.
Okay, glad I'm not the only one who thought of Xenogears. I remember that fondly, even though if I try to go back and play it now, I just can't.
Oh no, it's unplayably obnoxious. I tried a couple days ago. But like all of this quest of Sorrow of Werlyt is laced in as a writer, I'm seeing a lot of stuff like when the first patch came out like a year and a half ago, and I was explaining it of every single option for your what do you say in response on the radio, every single one of them was a launch command from a Gundam series. Like every single reference. If you've ever watched Pacific Rim, the HUD is Kamina's glasses from Gurren Lagann. Like every single piece of that is all wrapped into Sorrow of Werlyt. And so as somebody that's watched this media, I'm coming in and I'm going, that's from Evangelion, that's from Xenogears, that's from Gundam, that's from Ald Noah, that's from... But if you don't know that, you're seeing just the Final Fantasy side of it. But if you're seeing both, now I have this weird dichotomy of, I got to see a purple-haired kid punch a hole in the moon the last time I saw this dialogue as a subtitle. But now I have to watch a child die. That's a very difficult thing to watch and play through. So they definitely knew exactly how they were writing this. So seeing it culminate over not just 1 or 2 patches, not just a side project thing, like, oh, here's the 24-man raid, it's kind of attached to the expansion. No, this is a very big part of the expansion because we're dealing with Garlemald, because we're dealing with history, because we're dealing with poor people. They knew exactly how they were writing this, and some of the dialogue definitely hits a lot of notes depending on where people are coming from. But it also has the, like I said, the benefit of if you've never watched any of that media or read any of it or have any idea what it is, it's still just as impactful, but
There's
it impacts
a reason
in a
it is called the
different way.
Sorrow of Werlyt.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've got these, we call them kids, they are technically young adults. They're like their usual improbable age of like 19, 20, 21, etc., etc. But only one of them makes it out alive, and even she is severely broken.
That also tracks for manga. Yeah. By the way, an animation, just one person got out. Who else got out with them? No. One. Just one.
And
everybody else that was with them didn't make it. There are other people that exist, but no one else made it out but this one person.
And the kids themselves are actually talking about throughout the whole thing, like they know that they are going to be sacrificing themselves, but they're thinking like this is a thing that has to be done in order for Werlyt to be free.
Yeah, when they have to make
and every cutscene with them.
Sorry, I was gonna say they're having to make impossible decisions, to try and save their homeland.
And they're doing it with a smile and with bravado and whatnot.
I mean, I can't blame them for wanting to try and do what they can to save their homeland, but the fact that they're basically broken by this whole system, the fact that they are, for all intents and purposes, they're prisoners that are given access to these massive robots, and then they're trying to take them over and destroy the Garlemald Empire with them. It's not just that, because I just put songs together, listening to us talking about it, thinking about some stuff. They're doing it this way because they were raised by Gaius. Like, he did do his best, but he also taught his philosophy of like how the rightful place of the strong is to rule over and shepherd the weak. And this strength being this thing that is necessary. Like, they're viewing this as this is a thing where we have to do this position of strength, where this is what is needed. Like, they kind of took his lessons and put them into this thing of like, okay, this is what is needed. And so Gaius has to watch as this kind of twisted version of his own philosophy, which was always a problematic philosophy, but now it's this more twisted version, is destroying these orphans that he had taken in and raised. Yeah, can you say Stockholm Syndrome?
It's not even quite Stockholm.
It's not, but there's a lot of similarities. I mean, it started out a lot that way, but then they realized that, because they were, all in, from the very young age, they were very much drinking the Kool-Aid that Gaius was giving them. It wasn't until after Gaius left.
Were they going to die if they didn't?
At that point,
maybe.
At that point, I don't think they were that much into it. But once Gaius was out of the picture and Varys basically ended up taking over this whole project, that's when things changed for them. That's when something clicked. I mean, they're still really, believing what Gaius had taught them when they were growing up. But I don't know. It
is the duty of the strong to rule over the weak.
And in that,
you must have.
And at this point, go ahead.
You've all heard that Praetorium speech over and over again. It is made very clear what his philosophy is.
Such devastation. That was not my intention.
Okay, yes, we also got some great memes out of it. I have seen the many, many versions of that came up during FanFest. You beautiful, beautiful bastards.
Such vegetation.
Such hydration.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot going on there, and I can absolutely understand why some people would be like, oh my god, this is too much. Just let me have the giant mecha battles. Where apparently we now have those cluster curving missiles now.
I'm that one.
In our pre-industrial society. I know we've got Sid, but come on, even then, large-scale manufacturing of that sort of... Oh.
Thank you, Shake. Such hydration.
Perfect. It was an interesting set of, because like every expansion, every few patches, like we're fighting primals. Okay, but we have to fight something different. So it was, we're gonna fight the Warring Triad or whatever it was. Like we have to fight something different and unique that kind of pulls us out of the MSQ, but puts us in it with adjacent to it. So if you don't end up playing those quests, you don't miss anything. But if you do, you get this unique play experience outside of the main story that adds depth to the world that you're playing in. Mm-hmm. This is one that does that all the way back into Realm Reborn territory. Mm-hmm. So yes, we have a lot of Praetorium memes and whatnot, but listen to that dialogue and then remember that time has passed since then. And then play the Sorrow of Werlyt quests. And then realize that his dialogue is he's coming from the same position. He's the same human being, but there's different experience in his head back then versus now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's
fun thing to play through, but also very dark.
Yeah, just like seeing, okay, there are these echoes of the person I was, things I did, the stuff I believed, that's still happening now and bringing forward, and now embroiling all this other stuff that I care about.
All right, so you both played this through to completion, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
You remember the scene where Diamond has Varys in his claw?
Yeah.
And then we hear the really...
I was expecting them to completely replicate the Evangelion scene they were referencing there.
But the sound we get out of that was very out of place. I was actually reading, I happened to catch this on the subreddit today. They were talking about how weird that sound, was in place of what it was trying to replicate. But I think they did that on purpose. Because if they had actually gone with, a more realistic sound in that aspect, there may have been some ratings issues.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, huh.
So it sounds like we like
use
a
herbs for benefits. Yeah.
It sounds like instead of the sound they got, it sounded like they popped open a soda or something like that and then poured it out, versus the snap and then the squish, which we were kind of expecting out of it. But...
I mean, quite frankly, I do not have enough reference material to know what that would sound like. I hope to keep this that way.
No, there are a lot of very dark animes that are very good at Foley work that make very realistic.
What do for the search?
Well, I don't know, but
do you want the answers or no?
No,
because they're not as weird as you think they are, but they are weird.
Okay, maybe later on. There is part of me that's darkly interested in this.
But I think in order to maintain or keep from having any issues, they made it a little bit more light sounding. But
also, it might be something where they don't want you to take you out of it.
True. But you mentioned ratings, and one of the things I had to deal with working in game development was, where does this put us, especially for things like for what I was doing was gambling. And so we had to go, okay, well, where does this rating put us? And again, the EU versus US version, whether you put money in before or you put money in after, gave us completely different ratings in certain countries. And in certain, the PEGI system versus the ESRB system are very, very specific on how they do that. So when you have a game where we use alcohol, where we eat herbs to our benefit, where we eat food to our benefit, where we create, where we destroy, where we remove power from a person, where a person can be a beast or animal or monster. Now you're gonna add, yeah, you're definitely dancing on a ratings line really, really hard on that one.
I will say though, this has been probably one of my favorite side quests from any of the expansions, with just the amount of depth that they were able to draw from. You know, not only the fact that we got to fight with giant fucking robots, I mean, that was amazing, but
the fights themselves were pretty great.
The design of the actual mechs, you know, basing them off of Final Fantasy VII weapons, you know, not completely, you know, redoing or, you know, just, you know, making them high res versions of them, but taking the design and tweaking it a bit to make it a little bit more realistic.
Not just that, but a thing that was pointed out about the first three is that, so it is taking that original weapon thing, but a lot of the design motifs look like the helmet of the Legatus that was used as the basis for it. Like the thing of Ruby weapon looks like Nail's helmet.
I did notice that on Ruby's. I didn't really pick it up on the other two, but I did notice that they were kind of
I didn't pick it up on Diamond,
with a certain
definitely.
style.
Diamond, they did not do that.
But the one where I did notice it more realistic, more like that, but the helmet was different, but the body was similar. It was actually going all the way back to Praetorium when we're fighting Ultima.
Right.
Because that upper chest piece looks a lot like Gaius's. The helmet's different because his helmet, the horns goes kind of more straight out, whereas on Ultima they kind of curl in. So I don't know. Did they go with that?
There's certain things where they were, because I don't know. They're trying to make helmets. They're also trying to make robots. They're also trying to make it realistic. So like, there's only so much they're going to be able to pull off.
Yeah.
But we all got that, like, the essence of it, the idea of it comes through regardless of the design choice changes. So the fact that they were able to pull that off across multiple viewpoints is pretty awesome too.
And trying to see if I can find someone did like a image comparison thing showing like how each of the ones kind of matched with that.
No, was it Emerald that was supposedly based off of Emerald was based off of Gaius as well, correct?
Yep.
So did that helmet have the more pointed out?
Yeah. Let me just ask the Loremonger server really fast, see if someone can grab it for me.
And I'm trying to remember then if Sapphire had the more round part of the top like Regula did, because that's who that one was based off of. I don't recall it. I just remember running around in the single player battle, you know, trying to avoid all of those AoEs and just playing the whole Gundam thing like. That was so much. I hope they bring some of that back. Allow us to kind of do stuff like that again.
Every once in a while, they add something weird, right? We get the button revolution. We get the dress up game. We get the haunted mansion every Halloween. Like, we get the robot fight. We get the solo fight. We get to play as another character and do something that wouldn't be possible as a Warrior of Light. It wouldn't make sense narratively. Every time they do it the first time, we go, that was a little weird, but it's okay. And then like 2-3 years later, we're like, oh yeah, we're doing this cool thing again. It's always awesome when they include this. Like, they show that they are paying attention to our feedback. There's some stuff that you see once and you'd be like, yeah, that's dumb. And then you see some stuff that shows up yearly or patch or every other patch or every expansion that's like, no, these are things that we love. Please keep these up.
I mean, granted,
hope we see more robots. I hope we see more big, epic fights.
granted, yes, we can go back to New Game Plus and play these fights again, but like I said, I would like to see them brought into another instance where it would fit within the storyline to do so.
Slice of life, please. Just give us a slice of life anime for a bit.
Any luck finding what
maybe
you're looking
not.
for?
I swear to God, if my Warrior of Light runs across the screen wearing a school uniform and Kiss Kiss Fall in Love starts playing, I'm going to lose my shit. I will then play this game every day for the next month solid, but I will lose my shit the first time it happens.
Be beautiful.
Well, we almost had that with the Scholastic quests.
Oh God, I forgot about those.
Wasn't quite like that, but
Except then it became about all of the various terrible things.
Forgot about the Scholastic quest.
Yeah.
Pyrocats, you're terrible.
Tamaki.
You're terrible, Pyrocats. We love you, but you're terrible.
I'm gonna see myself out with this comment right there. I'm pretty sure I'm Honey Senpai.
I feel like the Warrior of Light's gonna be Haruhi, because everyone loves the Warrior of Light and jockeying for their affections.
You're not wrong.
BRB buying some instant coffee.
I just want to play as God, why can I not remember his name now? The one with the ESP guy with the pink hair, and he has to wear these little things to dampen his power.
Psychic
Psyche K, yes. I just want to play as Psyche K and just go eat my coffee jelly in peace.
I have no idea what you're talking about, and I'm not sure I want to know.
Oh no, you need to see this.
We have stumped the librarian. Keep it up.
No, I don't know everything.
Yet.
Anyways, I've pinged people. I will let you know.
Seyrr.
We'll come back to that. Closing thoughts on the Sorrow of Werlyt.
More robots. I know it's really simple, but
yeah,
more robots, more amazing writing. That would just every part of it was fun.
I really appreciate a lot of the depth of stuff. I know that there is concern about, hey, are you bringing back these characters just to kind of fit and see oh, everyone loves Gaius and he's so sexy, let's give him a redemption and all that. And I don't think it's about that. I know that it's also really hard to escape from a lot of the context that we have for our things. I really do feel like it is more of a, hey, here's this person who can explore this stuff of because again, there's not really redemption available for him. I mean, Fordola herself is still going to be a prisoner of the Alliance. Even though she's moving into this thing where, she's being more helpful, they still know what she did, and, there's no really undoing that. But then there's as a society, you don't just want to be killing every single person that, commits some crime against the state or against society or whatnot. That's just unfeasible for all sorts of reasons. So what do you do with these people? What do they do with their life? This is a hard question.
And they're bringing it up in a lot of different storylines. I mean, this was literally just brought up within the Guns of the Blades of Gunhildr.
Mm-hmm.
With what's her face that ended up going over and stealing the Save the Queen.
Yep.
You know, they literally were just talking about legitimately that, because people in, I'm slightly spoilery, sorry. In the new zone, one of the things that they actually talk about specifically was a lot of the other people that are fighting want her to pay with her life instead of actually going back to stand trial.
You saw that in the field notes as well. Even before that, when it was just Delubrum Regine, there was some of the field notes of the the interview with her as a prisoner, and scene was talked about, and then she did this thing, like, she took these other blades and enthralled them and then put them into this twisted form where she technically didn't kill them, but she effectively did. It's like, this is stuff that there is no coming back from. But again, like, at what point is it appropriate for the state to take a life? Like, if you give me a chance, then we're going to go into a couple hours of legal philosophy, and I know we didn't want to run too long this week.
And on that note, I think that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode, guys.
Yeah.
As much as we would
That's
like to have
probably for the
a
best.
3-hour discussion on the state versus blah blah blah
Dude,
blah.
philosophy of law is one of those other topics that people don't usually
Oh,
expect me to
God.
delve into.
Look forward to a new
Get out.
podcast series on the Phoenix Down Radio network. Seyrr dives into law philosophy.
I mean, just philosophy in general. There's a lot of it. Oh God, I have turned into my dad.
You did. Sorry, I wasn't gonna say it. Also, if you show up shirtless making peeps in a chili pot, I'm going to lose
Hey,
my mind, and I
he
might
had
have to
moved
drive
on to
down
the
and smack you in the head.
he had moved on to the
What,
wine
when
shirt
we're
by
wine?
then. Yes.
But
Oh man, I should get one of those.
But seriously, that will do it for this episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, please make sure to like, subscribe, or follow us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, whatever your preferred podcatcher is. And if possible, leave us a rating or review. It helps us to know how we're doing, and it helps other people find our podcast. If you really enjoy the show, you can consider subscribing here at twitch.tv/Phoenix Down Radio, where you're going to get access to a number of subscriber-only emotes, badges, and the like. Or you can go out to our Patreon at patreon.com/Phoenix Down Radio, like our benevolent overlord Aurori Fenrir. All proceeds go towards growing the show, cover things like hosting costs, add-ons for the show, tech upgrades, stuff like that, as well as some supporter-only incentives. I just realized, speaking of supporter incentives, but not really, but last episode we talked about a giveaway.
We did.
I totally forgot about it. 100% space.
So did I.
I also
If you
made one.
remember the giveaway, email us at podcast@Phoenix Down Radio, subject line giveaway, and we might send you something. I said might.
I want to do
said
something
might.
better than that. What I'm going to end up doing is I will buy a set of the minions and the mount from the Digital Fan Fest, and probably next episode we will give out what the thing is, because a little bit of a programming note. So next we'll have an episode in 2 weeks,
yeah.
but after that, we are not going to have an episode for a month. I am going on vacation, so we will have a 4-week period where we will not have an episode, but that'll give you guys plenty of time to enter into our contest that we come up with in 2 weeks. Don't let me forget about this, guys. All right.
We should probably write this down somewhere.
Yeah, we'll probably put in the new show notes actually.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I'm going to take a vacation, go up way far north where there's no cell signal, no internet, and go play on a lake and have some fun, drink some beer, and just have a good time. So I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, continuing on where we were at, sorry. But any kind of support
all
you
good.
give us, whether it's emails, likes, contest entries, tweets and retweets, follows, subs, or whatever, it's always greatly appreciated because we love hanging out with you guys and interacting with you. If you want to catch up on all of our backlog of episodes, you can go to our website, phoenixdownradio.com. If you have questions, suggestions, or you just want to correct us for something we screwed up, you can email us podcast@phoenixdownradio.com, or you can hit us up on our Twitter page at PHXDNRadio. It's not really a page, but you can tweet at us and we'll get the message.
Landing platform. Fine.
Yes, a social media platform. You can hit us up there. And as always, if you're listening to us on the podcast, come join us live at twitch.tv/Phoenix Down Radio sometime. It's a lot of fun. We love interacting with everybody in the chat, so check it out. Shout outs. Who's got them?
I'll go ahead and this week shout out Camo Fleur, one of the lore mongers who also works as a localizer for. God, I can't remember even which Oh, Xseed, because she worked on the new Story of Seasons game, and lately has been doing some really fun Twitch streams where she's been doing live translation localization of this really cool Otome game about a girl who is attending an all-boys drama school. It is super sweet and relaxing, and she gives really awesome discussion of what's going on in context for all things. And it's just been really, really lovely, and I've been enjoying those streams. I'll even probably go ahead and throw her Twitch thing in, her stream into the Twitch momentarily. But so shout out to you, Camo. You are a good egg. And you can find me on Twitter at FF14 Seyrr. That's FFXIV SEYRR. Where recently I've been posting some pictures of the kittens that we have been fostering.
Oh, yeah, I saw
They're
that.
so cute. Like, I don't think I put up the one where like one of them climbed up and it was like riding on my shoulder, and I got like the perfect picture of it that I might need to start using as a profile picture.
Aw.
So cute.
You should.
This is before the cats become assholes.
I mean, they're already a little bit. So they're like 5 weeks old. This is the youngest I've ever had, because I know like for adoption it's usually like 8 to 9 weeks. And so they're doing things like, I'm getting down to sit down on the floor. And it's like, oh, hey, your lower leg is currently a flat surface. I will jump up and stand on it. Yes, you were attempting to move, and if you move further, you could crush me, but whatever. Oh, hey, you're bent over, and your back is currently flat. Time to walk around on that.
Yes, and go.
No kitty. I mean, their claws are tiny. That's not a problem at this point. This is more of a, no, kitty, I don't want to hurt you. Why are you doing
They're
this?
tiny needles that pierce
They're
right
also
into
tiny
your
now.
skin.
Do not let them get into the hobby, or habit, rather.
I mean, they have become,
Not
they
gonna
are
go
being,
well for you.
they are being slightly less of that, and they were sleeping all curled up together. There are 3 of them.
Aw, very cute.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Beamer, Jaguar, and Royce, which at first I was rolling my eyes at the names, but then I was like, you know what? Royce is a good name for a cat.
That is so good. Oh my god. Cat, can I rename Aya and Kiki? She's gonna say no. Watch the chat. She's gonna say no.
All right, Taliz. Yeah, there it is. No.
So I'm gonna yeah, exactly. I'm gonna shout out W Greeny on TikTok, who has been doing piano covers of SNES RPG games, and I just wanted to say, hey man, keep up the good work. Love piano covers of like older style MIDI based video game soundtracks. Just one of my favorite things. So thank you for doing really cool stuff there. Shout outs again to Rory Fenrir, who hands us the Glamour Contest results page every week so that we don't have to do the work ourselves. It makes life significantly easier and gives us all the MGP we want so that we can buy guitars. Because, oh my god, I don't have $3,500 for an actual guitar that I don't even know how to play.
I would learn just for that.
I mean, it's almost worth it, but I've tried. I'm bass and ukulele. Shout out to Pyrocats, as well as my other 2 FFRPG players who tolerate my chaotic nonsense and my overwhelming desire to play through every Final Fantasy game at once, but not have the time. So I'm just making them do it instead and enjoying the experience almost as much as they are. You can find me on TikTok or on Instagram at Marvelous Tofu. I post pictures of cars. I post pictures of food. And every once in a while, I post memes. They're not as good as the food or the cars. Nah, they might be better than the cars. Anyway, see you guys there.
Depends on the memes.
Like whether you've
Depends
gotten
on
the
the
car
car.
fixed up or not.
Yeah, I suppose the car too. And again, I want to shout out to Seyrr and Lady Fireheart and Archasm for having a good time running Deep Dungeon, Palace of the Dead. Dragging my ass in there for the first time and trying to A, get that all those time-worn relics, and B, actually maybe sit on that bench for once. That'll be kind of fun. Shout out to a food truck that I ran into yesterday, Auntie M's. It is the only gluten-free food truck serving fair food, like corn dogs and cheese curds and funnel cakes. It's all gluten-free. It's delicious.
How did you do a gluten-free funnel cake?
Well, there's a number of different gluten-free flours that they can use. They found a really good mix that actually makes a very tasty, and it holds up very well.
I just found their website and tossed it into one of the show channels.
But yeah, they are pretty cool. It was very tasty, and like I said, I have a lot of family who have dietary restrictions. Biggest one being, gluten intolerance. So it was really cool to be able to try something like that out, and hopefully you'll be able to take them, because I remember we went to the county fair with them. Oh God, it's probably been about 8 years ago already. And that was one thing, some of us were able to have the funnel cakes, but I remember my sister was unable to, so it'd be cool to be able to have a funnel cake with her sometime. It's kind of a nice
God, when's
memory.
the last time I had cheese curds?
So shout outs to them.
Hey, Sarah, do you want to go halvesies on an Airbnb, my dude?
You can come hang out.
Hey, you can just buy their flour.
Yeah, but you and I could also go there, buy the flour, acquire cheese curds, and hang out with Klauss.
You know what? You don't even need an Airbnb. I have extra bedrooms.
Hey, Sarah, you want to go halvesies on renting a car?
We got a strawberries and cream funnel cake.
That's the one I had, and it was pretty.
Oh,
it was
dude.
pretty good.
Klauss, you've ruined us. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, it was good.
Former friend of the podcast, Sam May 923, was also gluten-free. I wish they were around. They would probably be losing their mind right now.
It was pretty cool. I thought that was amazing. They're going to be doing or hanging out at the brewery more often, which is kind of funny. A gluten-free food truck hanging out at a brewery, but
hey, now the chat is tempting me with poutine.
That's good too. And as always, shout out to my co-hosts Seyrr and Taliz. Without you guys, this would just be me chatting about weird shit again. So thank you so much for making this more entertaining than it would be with just me. And if you want to follow me for some reason out on the social media, you can hit me up at PHXDN_KLAUSS out on Twitter. So, for my co-hosts, Seyrr Timono, for Taliz Marvelous, I am Klauss Nightbringer, wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you on the next one. Take care.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is the copyright of Square Enix. Opening music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out their full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.